Look closely at how human empires have organized themselves throughout history. From Egypt to Rome, they almost always rely on a pyramid structure. Power flows downward from a single, elevated ruler at the very top. These systems demand massive bases of subjects, but a broad base doesn't guarantee permanence. Look at Babylon. Millions of citizens lived under absolute authority, yet the empire eventually fell to pieces. The fatal flaw lies in the apex itself. When you remove that single leader, whether by death, by bitter betrayal, or by conquest, the entire societal structure loses its balance and scatters into ruins like the ones you see here in the Roman Forum. Pyramids are engineered for vertical obedience. They require the bottom to serve the top. But mathematically, that design creates an enormous single point of failure. The peak is inherently vulnerable. Because they rely on centralized force rather than distributed stability, these systems are doomed to a cycle of rising, expanding, and collapsing into dust. There is a structure that defies that cycle, the Kaaba. It is the geometric antithesis to the pyramid. This photograph shows a perfect cube. All 8 corners are equal, and crucially, there is no apex. No one is elevated above the rest. That geometry dictates how people interact with it. Look at the motion of the pilgrims in this long exposure. During the ritual of Tawaf, believers do not climb toward a ruler. The movement is entirely horizontal, drawn into orbit around a shared center. In Shia cosmology, that center represents the qutb, the spiritual pole or axis. Just as a spinning top needs a central pin to stay upright, existence itself requires this hidden pivot to keep the physical and spiritual worlds from collapsing inward. As we look at this rotating 3D cube, an optical truth emerges. No matter what angle you view it from in 3-dimensional space, one of its 8 corners will always be physically obscured from your line of sight. This creates a structural paradox. If the universe relies on a continuous spiritual axis to hold itself together, how does the entire system survive when its central anchor is hidden from the world? To understand the stability, we have to peel back the physical stone and look at the math underneath. By turning the shape into a wireframe, we can see exactly what holds it up. All 12 structural edges become visible at exactly the same time. Remove a single line and the geometry fails. The Kaaba encodes 12 distinct continuous edges, representing the 12 Imams. They form a divinely appointed framework of guidance, where each leader carries the exact same structural weight as the last. This influence operates across the Alameen, the various levels of existence, from the physical body to the divine essence. The geometry of the cube expands into a tesseract, showing how our physical plane is nested within spiritual and divine dimensions that all share the same central axis. The Imam serves as the central vertical axis running straight through these layers. He connects the material universe we can see to the hidden realms we cannot, channeling divine grace downward into the physical world. If this 12-edged framework and multidimensional axis are an absolute requirement for creation to exist, where is that final critical guide located in our visible world today? We return to that optical reality of the solid cube. That single obscured back corner represents the 12th Imam, al-Mahdi, who is currently in a state of occultation or ghaiba. Because he is unseen by ordinary sight, it might appear that the structure is incomplete, yet his edge of the framework remains entirely real, structurally vital, and completely known to the eye of faith. The physical earth does not collapse because the spiritual axis is perfectly intact. The tension is held, the weight is supported. Being hidden from our immediate view does not mean he is absent from the structure. Tradition points to a prophesied reappearance, describing a specific moment when the 12th Imam will return to the Kaaba. He will step out of occultation, and the cube will be complete and full visibility. This return will not be the sudden invention of a new system. It will simply be the final moment when the hidden divine geometry is brought out of the shadows and into full, undeniable visibility. The physical stone of the Kaaba is the 3-dimensional anchor for a massive, higher-dimensional reality. It is the exact center where Imam Ali was born, stepping into the physical world as the living tesseract, the ultimate gateway to divine knowledge and the very face of God on earth. And that cosmic lineage extends directly from his birthplace to his resting place. Najaf operates as the divinely protected, eternal throne for this knowledge, preserving the legacy across centuries. We saw earlier how civilizations engineered on greed and top-down control crack under their own weight. Those pyramids of power will continue to rise, and they will continue to crumble to dust. But the cube remains. The 12 edges hold firm, and the unbroken concentric axis of the Imamate will remain the center of all creation, drawing the universe into its orbit forever.